In the world of high-end Swiss watchmaking, there is a now classic slogan from Patek Philippe that states, "You never actually own a Patek Philippe. You merely look after it for the next generation." It has been an extremely effective campaign for one primary reason. It evokes the concept of heirlooms, those treasures that we hand down from generation to generation and savor for the time that they are under our stewardship. But every so often, a product comes along that reminds us that our shiny, exciting new purchase today might just become that cherished heirloom for those who come after us. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh no, here goes Troy again, about to wax poetic about a jacket or something. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Taylor Stitch is likely to be a brand that our viewers are familiar with. The San Francisco-based apparel company has been making quality casual menswear with a bit of West Coast outdoorsy appeal since 2008. We've talked about their products on many occasions over the years, and despite most of their production being done now overseas, it's safe to say that we are fans of the brand. Golden Bear, on the other hand, is a brand that many may not be as familiar with. Also San Francisco-based, Golden Bear first started in 1922 and set about outfitting longshoremen with rugged dock coats, later expanding their offerings to bomber, motorcycle, and varsity jackets, the latter of which they are still best known for to this day. While the two brands seem at first glance to be entirely different companies of entirely different eras, one thing would bring the two together: the notion of a treasured heirloom, the Moto jacket. You see, the original Moto jacket was made by Golden Bear back in the early 70s. That jacket came into the possession of a man named Albert, and several decades later, Albert's son Nick would become a designer for Taylor Stitch. Somewhere along the way, Nick would inherit that gorgeous, storied jacket and bring it back home to the folks at Golden Bear. The story is a beautiful one indeed, and told in much greater length over on Taylor Stitch's blog, but the key takeaway is that jacket, with countless miles and some 45 years of life in its seams, was the inspiration for the Moto jacket that we have here today. Now, apart from some minor pattern updates and little tweaks, it is largely the same model that was produced all those years ago. A sturdy, handsome, and utterly timeless leather motorcycle jacket. Like a sturdy dive watch, pair of aviator sunglasses, or a solid pair of leather boots, it's the kind of look that is well deserving of the often used term icon. From a pure style perspective, this is what so many people think of when they say the words classic leather jacket. Now, in case you're in a rush or simply have no interest in the more romantic parts of the review, I'll cut right to the chase. This jacket is so damn well made. The stitching and seams are all beautifully done, all perfectly rolled and finished in solid and uniform manner. The chrome tan 3.5 ounce full grain steer hide leather has a nice, supple yet satisfyingly dense hand that immediately gives you that weighty, reassuring feeling when you put the jacket on. The body lining is a cotton polyester blend with a single layer of 3M Thinsulate to add a little extra warmth for the transitional seasons. The sleeves are lined with a sort of silky acetate fabric. Now, setting aside whatever the jacket looks like, the jacket just feels so good to wear. The other components of the jacket are all of equally high quality. Gusseted sleeves with brass zippers, flannel-lined pockets, heavy button snaps on the collar, and YKK two-way brass zippers. It's just all really solid stuff. Now, if you remember my All Saints leather jacket review, I griped about the two-way zipper in that case. And while it's true I don't love two-way zippers because they're often cumbersome and seldom necessary, because of the overall cut of this jacket and the fact that I could, actually see someone riding a motorcycle while wearing it, the inclusion of it here is actually justified. The jackets are all handmade at the Golden Bear Workshop in San Francisco. Now, this is the primary reason that these jackets are only produced and sold in small batches. It's also a primary reason for the price, which we'll discuss a little bit later. It's not insignificant. While different colors are occasionally offered like suede, black, or navy blue, the primary two colors which are most consistently offered are the whiskey steer hide, which you see here, and the espresso steer hide, which is a much darker, more chocolatey kind of brown color. As far as the whiskey goes, the photos you're gonna see on the website and in the marketing materials and whatnot are, at least when it's new, very different from what you're actually gonna get when the jacket is brand new. There's really no other way to say it. When the jacket's new, it's just straight up orange, right? Now, I have no doubt that after years or decades of hard use and reasonable abuse, some thorough conditioning along the way, the jacket will ultimately develop that gorgeous, warm kind of cognac color that you see all over the Taylor Stitch website, but it's a color that you're gonna have to earn. Even for me, having gotten the jacket secondhand from our buddy Mike over at the Iron Snail, having worn it off and on for a couple of years and conditioning it with neatsfoot oil twice now, I'd say it's only darkened about 20 to 30% from when it was properly new. But on the other hand, it also does match my golden orange Red Wing Mocktail 875s pretty nicely, so, got that going for me. Overall, the fit of the Moto jacket is a nice balance of fitted and a little relaxed. It's sort of Goldilocks, right? It's just right. Gussets along the back panel and the bottom sort of panel allow for a nice amount of movement and freedom without it falling victim to the sort of baggy, boxy dad jackets that anyone who grew up in the 80s or 90s are all too familiar with. In keeping with that idea, the length is also just right. Not too short, such that if you wear an untucked button-up shirt, you'll feel, dumb with half of your shirt hanging out, but also not too long that it, sort of is restrictive or gets in the way. While I usually am a 36 regular in my jacket size, which would correspond on Taylor Stitch's website to the extra small in the Moto, I ended up actually with the 38, or a small. While there is a touch extra room in the shoulders, which tells me that their sizing and patterning is actually really spot on to measurement, I actually prefer that fit in this jacket. If you're on the fence, it's somewhat similar to like the Ship John Wills jacket, for example. If you want a snug, more fitted kind of rock and roll kind of fit, right, then size down. If you want to layer under it or wear, with like sweater things, something like that, then, size up, which considering you're probably gonna be wearing this jacket in more of the transitional seasons, right, I would probably go that route if I were you. So take that for what you will. Right, moving on to some pros and cons. The build quality throughout is absolutely excellent. The hide itself, the stitching, the zippers, the buttons, it's all really, really top-notch stuff. Even after having been used and worn and kind of thrown around, there's no fraying, there's no loose threads. It's rock solid throughout, and frankly, it's pretty impressive stuff. It feels excellent. The classic cut is nice and comfortable without being too baggy or boxy, and just structured enough without being too slim or trendy. Again, it's just right. Also, solidly in the pros here, the story of Golden Bear is just plain cool. I mean, this is the jacket that everyone secretly hopes to stumble across when you're perusing a thrift store, right? Like, that's what you want it to look like. In keeping with that, it's hard to come by, which means there's a level of exclusivity here, right? You're not gonna bump into a bunch of other people wearing this jacket or wearing something that looks exactly like it. It's distinct, it's unique, it has the ability to become that sort of, your iconic look, right? Moving on to some cons, the leather colors. In my opinion, the espresso is just a bit bland. Looking especially through the pictures, it's a very monotone, uniform sort of dark brown color, which isn't probably gonna develop too much character or patina over the years because it's just so, simple and dark. It's a little uninspiring for me. But on the opposite side here, the whiskey, when it's new, it is like jack-o'-lantern orange. It's kind of ridiculous, which was a little off-putting to me at first because you see the pictures and there are these rich, like, whiskey cognac kind of colors on the website, but then you get it and it's really pretty bright. So, over time, it's going to develop that, that dark, rich character, and I'm sure in several years, I'm gonna be really grateful for, for that initial color because of the character and contrast it's gonna develop, but initially it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot of orange. Continuing on, the limited production, again, it's a double-edged sword. You won't see a lot of people wearing this jacket because a lot of people won't be able to get one, which kind of sucks. Like if you happen to come across this video during one of the periods where this isn't for sale, I mean, you're gonna have to find it secondhand or just wait for them to put together another batch, which is kind of a bummer. Finally, the price. As justified as I think the price actually is, it's an expensive jacket. The cost of this is simply gonna be cost prohibitive for many people. The gap between really good leather jackets and really bad leather jackets is a massive chasm, both in terms of the quality and feel as well as the price. At $1,075 at the time of recording, this is where we start getting really serious, right? And the conversation becomes as much about investment as any other aspect of the jacket. This is a jacket that you expect, especially for the price, to stand up to a lifetime of use and then some. As much as I lament the fact that when this jacket first came out, it was a few $100 cheaper than it is now, the increase is woefully what we expect of most well-made, especially American-made things these days. Everything is more expensive than it was a few years ago. Despite all of that, I don't personally feel that this jacket is inappropriately priced for the quality that you're actually getting. Is it a lot of money to spend on a jacket? Yes, it is. Is it a lot of money for what you get? No, not particularly. But all the talk of money and material and branding is secondary to the most important aspect of a jacket like this: how it makes you feel and how long will you have it for. A proper American-made heritage leather jacket is something I personally believe everyone should get to own at some point in their life, with all respect, of course, paid to those who are disinclined towards animal products. A jacket like the Taylor Stitch and Golden Bear Moto jacket is meant to be your companion, your one-and-done leather jacket. The jacket that no matter where you're going or what you're doing, you can grab it on your way out the door and you know that you will be good to go. And if it gets a little bit roughed up along the way, so much the better. And as the sun begins to set on your years, with many rich and fulfilling travels in the rearview mirror, you will pass the jacket along to someone who will love it even more than you. Because for them, it won't just be a jacket. It will have been your jacket. And as they embark upon their own life's journeys, preferably on a suitably cool vintage Indian motorcycle, a small part of you will still remain with them, your memories and miles permeating the well-worn and patinated hide of the leather jacket. That does it for my review of Taylor Stitch and Golden Bear's Moto jacket. I don't know. Again, it's a little sentimental, it's a little romantic, but that's the good stuff, right? You agree? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and join us again for another review of, well, something else cool that will come along.